Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. A day late, but that's okay. It's given me an opportunity to watch some of the games that I missed yesterday traveling and collect my thoughts, and we get to do a true blue decompression of what was a wild Week 12. Guess not really that wild. Were there any upsets? Baltimore?
I think the wild part was some of the endings of some of the games. The
Browns.
It's funny how, like, if you don't make that 2-point conversion in either of those games, like the media is losing their mind today about, like, has analytics gone too far? Like, you could have been safe and cozy in overtime where you have a 46% chance to win as the underdog, or like, I mean, price overtime for Jacksonville.
They're
40%?
probably 40. Yeah, 40. I'll give them 42. And then Chargers, you're on the road, but you probably
Chargers
are a little over 50-50. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know why they decided to feel the need to fire on that one, but a lot of the decision making from that brain trust has left me wondering if they're fake sharp or real sharp all season.
Yeah, they're rolling. There's a guy upstairs rolling a 20-sided die.
Ooh,
going down the go for it.
Oh, we're going for it. All right. Well, let's start with the Thursday action because we didn't ever really kind of wrap our brains around what happened there. The Bills eke out a win in the waning moments of that game after the Lions had a very, very hard fought comeback in that fourth quarter. You feel for the Lions losing that game a little bit of a gut punch. They were building some momentum late in the season, like they might try to get themselves into the wild card race. That's pretty much over now. I didn't
still in second place in the division, which is hilarious.
Amazing.
Like the Vikings can clinch this week with a win versus the Jets, and it was jarring to read the second part because you're used to it being like a Packers loss is what you need. It is a Lions loss that is needed for the Vikings to clinch this weekend. And yeah, the Lions never looked like a team that should have been double-digit favorite or underdogs. And the part that really stuck with me was it was weird because the offensive line for the Lions, strong point.
Yes.
Absolute strong point, looked kind of bad.
Yes.
A lot of pressure. And in upside down bizarro world on the holidays, Goff looked kind of good against pressure for parts of the game. And I mean, when he was able to find St. Brown, they kind of roasted the Bills' ass.
They did.
Truthfully. And you give Josh Allen too much time at the end. And
yeah,
you're still a bad team. You're still likely going to lose close games to good teams. So yeah, probably right result on the money line, right result on the spread. And
yeah.
It was only a fun game. All the games were fun.
It was. Lions team total came home. That was a nice win to start off the Turkey Day. Diggs, it was only a matter of time until he got loose. He was kind of the key, I thought, in the fourth quarter for the Bills. So, still, a lot of the Buffalo offense looks like still stand around and watch Josh Allen, which is not great. Like they need some of those other players to step up a little bit and do something at sometimes. You had one kind of bright spot from Devin Singletary. Josh Allen, almost the leading rusher on Thanksgiving. That would have been a huge payout for anyone who bets those top rusher markets. Yeah, eclipsed, of course, by Zeke Elliott, barely. Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, awesome. Guy rules. Lions feel for him, but right team won, right team covered. Total comes in under thanks to a 2-0 third quarter. No points scored except for that safety. Josh Allen, another red zone turnover. He's probably taken more points off the board than any other quarterback in terms of his red zone turnovers.
You probably have a gripe if you had the over in that one, but I don't know. It's not a big gripe.
No, it's not.
It's still it doesn't take much to end up south of a big ass number like that, especially when you have the Lions out there. So.
Yeah. Real quick question. Von Miller, ACL. I didn't follow up on that.
No, it was like it was not. It's like an MCL thing.
Okay.
They're going to. I think they're still evaluating, but it sounds like he's out for a bit.
He's going to miss December.
He's going to miss some time.
Okay.
They're holding out hope. I think it's kind of like, hey, we're holding out hope. This isn't a long-term thing It was not an ACL. The
2
MRA
plus,
was like
2 plus.
Yeah, it was
1 2
MCL shit.
Okay.
So month and a half, maybe kind of a playoff return for him.
Okay. All right. The second game was weird. First half was dominated by the New York Giants. They looked like the better team. They looked like the team that was coming out in sharp to play. Dak Prescott was awful. He looked like he was having kind of big stage jitters, big, lights too bright kind of performance for the first half of that game. But then he settled in nicely in that second half and was surgical in scoring 21 for the Cowboys in the second half. And it was crazy because it was just like literally, Giants, give me anything so we can get this over home. All I had in pocket was over. Didn't have anything going on sidewise. And you think, oh man, bummer that the Giants aren't going to get the cover. I don't think I couldn't really tell you one way whether they deserve to or not, but that late touchdown, which flipped, or I think the game landed in the middle. Certainly the look ahead was Cowboys -7, 7.5, bet out to touched 10 by kickoff. So 8-point margin, game lands in the middle, 48 points scored, games goes over the total, all thanks to that 1-yard pass play from Daniel Jones to Richie James with 8 seconds remaining. Other than gamblers, I don't think anyone really cared about the end of that game, but the gamblers all cared a lot. When side and total are both decided by the final play of the game, effectively, it's pretty electric. So
it is fun, and it's fun not being like involved in a game like that where you just know like, oh my god, this is such an incredibly high leverage play for everyone who bet except the teams that are actually playing and fans who don't gamble. It's like, this is side, this is total.
Yeah. The only gamblers who bet on the game and didn't really have any care in the world were people who took Dallas second half. They were just like, I don't care, score, who cares? But ultimately, I think the over was correct. And so I'm very, very happy that came through. New York Giants, major problem. They don't have any talented players. We've been saying this for a while. It stinks trying to watch them get it done.
That was one of those two where I was cooking a lot and prepping food and working, and I was missing parts of that. And I wanted to bet second half Cowboys, and I was going to lay off. And I think I'm not scrolling back through the chat to try to find this from that long ago, but I think our friend Sports Hack made a strong case for it. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Fuck it. I wanted it already. You got me convinced, and yeah, we that was a no doubter. Even with the final touchdown, it didn't matter. I was hoping they'd score it. I like a little drama like that, but yeah, not a lot of takeaways. The Cowboys pass rush continues to be a problem for people. They looked very good. Not only your defensive player of the year, Parsons, but Lawrence looked very good. Both pass rushes honestly got home quite a bit during the game.
Mm-hmm. So the Giants were trying to get it done with the following receivers besides Darius Slayton. They had Richie James out there, Isaiah Hodgkins. We saw target for Chris Myarick. We saw 2 targets for Lawrence Cager, 2 targets for Gary Brightwell, 1 for Tanner Hudson, and of course 1 for Matt Breida. Well, I haven't heard from him in a while. What a cast of characters. My goodness gracious. It is a rough scene in terms of pass catching warm bodies up in New York, and schedule gets no easier for them. They are dogs this week hosting the Commies. Probably going to be dogs every game here in, which means the market thinks this team goes 7-10 after starting 7-2. Wow. Not going to feel great even though they make their win total. This knocked Brian Daboll out of Coach of the Year talk probably. And I think ultimately the Giants hanging on to playoff hopes that are fleeting.
Especially, their whole damn division has a winning record. It was everybody else in the division won, and unfortunately they can't transfer to the South mid-season. There's no transfer portal for that.
No. 7
Vikings
wins might win the NFC South, and the Giants might be out on the outside of the playoffs looking in with 7 wins. So wild.
And then we have the Minnesota Vikings, who, by all accounts, the incredibly liquid betting market Very smart analytical folks, the people over at Football Outsiders who do DVOA for many, many, many years and have been fine-tuning that. Everyone agrees the Minnesota Vikings are a middle-of-the-pack team, and yet here we are. They were 9-2. They're now on their. I think I sold out to 9 on their win total. I think it was maybe an 8.5, or I got a cheap 9. So I have a hopefully a winner in that. I think they probably get at least one more. My God, this team every week. I teased against them, and they are making me pretty nervous because despite everything nice I've said about Belichick and how these defenses shape up throughout the middle of the year, Justin Jefferson is a bleeping menace. Just, if the ball is thrown somewhere catchable, like he's just gonna catch it. It doesn't matter how tight the coverage is. It doesn't matter who's on him. Doesn't matter what part of the field he's in. He is my God. If you're watching that as a Patriots fan, you gotta just hate his guts. He was like, and Thielen had a really nice game too. So just another good game by the Minnesota Vikings offense, especially in the passing game. And Darius Smith and the gang got after it a little on the pass rush. And it was another game where just like, man, Minnesota's been kind of lucky here. And then on top of that, they have an all-world wide receiver, which helps a lot. And I guess they can keep doing this. It feels really like, the Cowboys game. You remember that, the Vikings Cowboys game?
Yes, I do.
It feels like
that was an absolute ass kicker.
You know what? The Vikings absolutely could win 2 playoff games. Fuck, they could win 3 playoff games. You know what? Truthfully, they could win 4 playoff games. This team could win the Super Bowl. Offense, if it clicks in the right spot, go look at what Joe Flacco did years and years and years ago. If the offense clicks in the right time and they have the weapons, you can beat anybody. But, man, it just feels like this team has that Cowboys game at some point during the playoffs. Or if it doesn't all go right and the turnovers don't go right, the offense isn't getting the calls and isn't getting the catches on third down, they're going to lose by like 1 billion to somebody in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That said, like I said, it's still, if the offense is working, very, very hard to defend Justin Jefferson.
It is. This was a frustrating one for me in a lot of ways because this was the biggest loser for me for the week. I had a lot of Patriots because we doubled down on the second half. Patriots were 0 of 3 in the red zone compared to 3 of 5 for the Vikings. Patriots just cannot get it going in the red zone to save their freaking lives. It is really, really something. The key game flipping play though was the special teams fails. There
was like 4.
And I mean, you kind of, if you're handicapping a game and you're like, this is a close game, it's like a pick 'em, and you're kind of going through the list of like, what are some distinguishing characteristics? You never ever put a Belichick on the losing end of, well, special teams might be a problem. Like they are usually very, very sound there. They gave up a kick return touchdown. They gave up the punt penalty that extended what was ultimately the game-winning drive was just atrocious. They had a 26-26 at that point in time, and there were 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. If you drive and you can put scoreboard pressure on the Vikings, then the game looks very different from that point forward. The fourth down, it was a third down sack by Danielle Hunter was obviously huge at the very, right around that 2-minute warning, forced them to have to go for 4th and forever to try to extend the game. Didn't get it. They even had a chance there at the end somehow, some way,
that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the punt where it's like, why are you catching that ball?
Yes. Yeah.
That was right at the end of that final one.
That was another one. So that all of it was just tilting. Thankfully I was marginally sober, so didn't really hurt that bad at the time, but it did the next day. And Patriots really, that was quite the letdown. Otherwise, I think, it's fair to take away some positives from Mac Jones's performance. He had almost 400 yards passing. This was a huge breakout for him in what has otherwise been a really shit season. The New England rushing attack was nowhere to be found. It seemed a little like the, Vikings were like, we dare you to beat us through the air. And, they almost did. Disappointing that the Patriots lose that game. That probably puts their season in jeopardy. This wasn't like a loser leaves town kind of deal for them, but having lost that match, having lost that head to head, now they are, and with the Bills and the Dolphins and the Jets all winning,
everyone won.
Not good for them. Basically, everyone they're chasing except for the Ravens won in the AFC, so not good for them. Moving down to Sunday.
Sunday.
It was wild these last couple of days too, going through 4 World Cup matches and then right into football, and then having a full day of football. Like, honestly, was this too much sports? Is this too much sports?
It's honestly maybe the only way, and it's too early because it's only November. But doesn't it feel like Aussie Open prep? I'm up at like 4 a.m. watching.
Yeah.
Like the volume's low because everyone in the house is sleeping, and I'm getting mad at people from other countries, and it's just like
kickoffs were at midnight for me in Hawaii for the first games, and I had some action in a bunch of those, so I was up watching. But no, this feels a little bit like too much sports. Sunday is action. The first game in the rotation was Baltimore Jacksonville. What to say about this one? Where to start, Andy?
It felt like the game was in hand.
A couple of times.
And Baltimore has done this before. I mean, go look at the Miami game. That game was
like in years past? This year they've done it before. Yes. Like every time they've lost, pretty much.
Like all of their losses, yeah. I mean, that Miami game was an outlier. Like that game was incredibly in hand. It's like, nah, they're not going to come back and win this, right? Holy shit, they are. And kind of the same feeling here. And as much as we've dogged on him, Trevor Lawrence was very good, especially late in the game. He made the throws he needed. He made some throws I wasn't super sure he could make. He made some really nice throws, especially on that last drive. Kudos. We talked about this a little off the air. We weren't super sure about the Chargers going for 2. That being the right call or not, this was the right call for the Jaguars.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You're not making the playoffs. You're building up moral victories. You're building up experience for next year. You're figuring out what this team was like. Yeah. And that under, the under was the bad beat there. That under felt like it was locked in for people that on that. And it almost felt like, man, there should be more points here. And the under is going to get there anyway. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang.
Bang, 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 bang.
There's the
fumble,
points.
Short field off the fumble. You're like, oh, Christ, here we go.
Yeah. As Sam Lipscomb points out, a lot of red zone field goals.
Yeah.
There was points left on the board, and then it was full harmonica kicks in, and all of a sudden when the levee breaks, you know how it goes.
Hey, you know who was super happy that the Jaguars went for 2? Everyone who took the points. The Jaguars, like, let's end this now, one way or the other. Love it. Love this decision. Great decision making. A couple of controversial calls there at the end, but we'll leave those for another day. There was a lot of controversial calls all across the league. The Patriots got a freaking wicked whistle on Sunday night. I mean, on Thursday night too. But we'll. Yeah. And
I was able to get that teaser leg home barely, but I was getting very upset at the referees. The Patriots were not upset. Getting, and. Yeah. I've said, Andy, take a deep breath. The Patriots have got a friendly whistle for 20 years.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Getting mad about this isn't going to change.
Yeah. I think if you take out the Ravens at the Buccaneers game, I feel like the Ravens have been trailing for less
7
than
total
5 minutes.
Yeah, like 7 minutes the whole year.
7 minutes all year, yet they have 4 losses. The Giants loss was absolutely ridiculous. The Bills loss was entirely on the Ravens. The Dolphins come from behind win was amazing by the Dolphins, but Ravens contributed greatly. And then this one too. Like, I thought Lamar Jackson was very, very good yesterday. His supporting cast is abominable. what the front office has given him to work with makes no sense. And I think his frustration after the game, which he weirdly went to Twitter to vent, was warranted. But like, I don't get the vision of this team. They've just build through defense. Like they're using so much of their resources to try to prop up what is a very old defense, and they're not fast. They can't cover super great, even though they have big names in that secondary. And that was, I think, a lot of the story of the fourth quarter, because Trevor Lawrence all of a sudden realized, hey, I can make quick decisions and get the ball out of my hands. And, maybe my receivers will have a good day where they catch them all. And they did. And like that felt like the difference is because like I've seen Lawrence play that well before. This was a coming out party because of number one, the result, number two, the opponent, and number three, his receivers caught the balls. So it's like, okay, as someone who backed a lot of Jaguars positive stuff in the preseason, thanks for nothing, you clowns.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say
where was this for the last 10 weeks? You jackasses.
I have a small over 6.5 with them, and they've given me some hope. It's going to be tight. Close, I think they end up with 6 wins, and I'm mad, but.
That sounds about like the Jaguar season.
Yeah,
honestly, because like if you win some of your coin flips in the middle of the season, the Titans could finish 7-10. That is not off the table. I mean, I know they got to play the Texans still, but the Titans are having the
Texans
issues.
Look deader than the turkey I ate, dude.
Like,
they have like teams don't quit super early, but man, when they quit and they have a roster like this, it looks rough.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case is,
we need the Jags Super Bowl preview.
Yes, they have truly squandered what would have been a decent chance to make a little bit of run, get some of their young players some playoff experience. Instead, they are going to have to be patting themselves on the back for big comeback wins at home against a Ravens team that is letting everyone do that, apparently. Real quick, what was up with the Jaguars mascot? Did you see that?
Yeah, that was
why are his spots green? Do you get that? Does that make any sense to you?
I get having the Speedo and like, hey, go America, but yeah, the green.
Oh yeah, that all made sense. But the green spots, it didn't. I didn't get it. Like
I don't know if he has like a rare Jaguar disease.
Should we not be? Is this insensitive?
Yeah, this is probably insensitive.
Okay. Well, if they were teal spots, I would get it because that's like their colors.
Maybe they tried to buy teal spots and it's just like, man, fucking Richard got the wrong paint. Just go. Okay.
Just go with green. Okay. All right.
Worst intern ever. All right. Next game.
Next game on the rundown: Denver, Carolina. That game happened.
I didn't think.
Oh my God!
I didn't think it could get worse for the Denver offense.
I didn't either.
And it got worse, I think.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I don't remember which player it was, but like a defensive player started chewing Russ's ass a little on the sidelines. There's discord has been sown in the locker room. That's probably been waiting to bubble over for a while. And the defense didn't even look as good as they normally do. This total still stayed under. Like Denver unders are still somehow, and I needed them to not kick a field goal at the end when they went for it on fourth to end the game. Oh, thank God, because it could have gone to 36. I think that would have pushed for me. But yeah, Carolina, Darnold has always made DJ Moore look good. You can go back and look at like game logs. Yeah. Like that's always been a thing. I didn't think it would be a thing this week against a really, really good defense. It's it was a puzzling.
What is your read on the Panthers? Are they done? Do you give them any likelihood to come back and win the NFC South? Because if they beat the Falcons in that game where DJ Moore takes his helmet off, we're probably like, this is happening.
People are like the Bucs are leaving that window open. They've given every chance in the world to slam that shut on teams.
Are you declaring the Panthers out?
Well, and no, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Like
between the Panthers, Falcons, and Saints, of all those, best price is obviously the Panthers. But like of those teams, the one you kind of feel the best about is the Panthers, right?
And they're 4-8. It's crazy. They have one fewer win than the Bucs.
They beat them head to head, and they lost the other one. I'm guessing, right? They played the Bucs twice, or
It's
they
possible.
only played once.
I'm not gonna bet on them, but I guess I understand a good game out of Darnold. Like, he has every incentive not to tank. He has every incentive to go out there and play his ass off and either win this job somehow, which I don't know if that's a thing, but he's gonna find himself. Like, he should be starting over a couple of these starters in the league. He would be the best quarterback in Houston. He would probably be the best quarterback in maybe both New York teams. Gee, I'm kidding. Danny Dimes better, but
a little bit. We don't really know how good Danny Dimes is because he's finally got an
also
offensive
getting
coordinator.
traded
No
back
wide
to the
receivers.
Jets would be hilarious.
So the Panthers have in the next handful of weeks here. I guess they go into bye. Yeah, they must go on bye. They come off. They come off the bye at the Seahawks, Steelers, Lions. Those are 3 winnable games.
I'm still not betting them.
Then you get at Bucks, at Saints to end the season. I'm not trying to say that this team is going to win 5 of their last 5, but I am not. I think that the division is far from undecided.
I'm gonna dig in on my probabilities with my numbers and look at the Saints and see where they're at. As much as I hate to bet any of these teams. And we'll get to Tampa when we get to them. So, all right, we'll dig in on that. I'll have some thoughts on that quick. Wednesday.
Okay. So while you accrue those thoughts, I will just tell you that the Panthers have the easiest of the 4 schedules.
Sure.
Who's got the toughest? Tampa's about the same as the Panthers. All these teams actually have kind of easy schedules except for the Saints. All right, well, they're all about equal, but it's not an especially tough schedule. Spurs certainly out of division at least. Interesting. Denver, my God, what a disaster! I think Hackett on his way out the door.
I keep saying like nobody gets fired until the end of the year. Hackett is making it awful hard for that to come true.
Dude, Carolina got bet pretty good, by the way. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention to the close on Sunday morning, but that closed to pick a lot of places.
Nick C says, found a stray 50-1. Guess I'm in.
I tell you what, Nick, the true odds are 100%. They are better than 2%.
It should be like,
there's
15.
There is 50-1 is you've made a good bet.
Yeah, that's obscene.
You made a good bet. The true odds are better than 2%. I can tell you that with perfect clarity. Even with Sam Darnold taking all the rest of the snaps, that true odds are better.
They've got a true wide receiver 1. They've got an easy schedule, and you've got an elite pass rusher.
Yeah, and
it's
CB1
enough to win.
Horn.
It's enough to win against some shitty teams.
You got a true CB1 in Horn too. That guy rocks. Okay. Atlanta, Washington was another game that happened.
Washington, Heineke. Heineke is legit.
Washington took the early money. They took the early money and moved out to 3.5. It kind of flirted in that 4.5, 3.5 range all week. Maybe a little bit of money came in on the Falcons at the close. Washington gets the 6-point win, and it didn't feel easy. Right? These are starting to feel laborious. Am I wrong?
All of their games are like this. It's laborious to watch them. And yeah, if the playoffs were starting right now, it would be Taylor Heineke revenge game. Heading to Minnesota, it was the first team to ever. I think he was an undrafted free agent in camp up here in Minnesota. So Taylor Heineke, Sam Lipscomb pointing out, Heineke's due for a 5-interception game. Maybe.
Boy, is he. It's not coming against the Giants, though. The Giants have no one healthy in the secondary.
Yeah, it's a double revenge game, Sam. It's Kirk Cousins and Heineke. It's a double revenge game. Hopefully it's
those teams played not that long ago. Was Heineke the quarterback? I think he was. Oof, God, I do not want to see the Commanders in the playoffs. Oh my God, there's a lot of bad NFC teams that are going to make the playoffs. Oh,
the Sean Taylor statue was weird. Like, they could have done a lot better job of honoring him. It was just like a mannequin. like with his jersey on. It's everything Washington does is so poorly executed.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Smithsonian display of all the first lady dresses. That's kind of how they did the first lady dress display in the Smithsonian. Not sure.
I had to go watch him light that guy up in the Pro Bowl to cheer up after seeing that.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
It made me feel a lot better. I love Sean Taylor when he was playing, but
yeah,
the Washington is a good enough team, and their defense continues to improve. They're getting pieces back. They can hang with anybody. That's kind of their MO. Hang with anybody. Let other teams beat themselves. Well, you hang with them. Let the other team beat themselves. It was the perfect matchup for that. They're playing the Falcons. Like you have a team that's been beating themselves for years. So. And the Falcons, even the roster that the Falcons have now is probably worse than it was at the beginning of the season. They've had some injuries and whatnot. So, I guess not a surprising result. Not a game I was wanting to get involved with.
Yes. Yes. Stephen Lackman brings up a good point. Every public watch, everything they do does feel like a big pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. They did this with Sean Taylor previously. The day that the report was going to come out or something, didn't they have we're putting him in the Ring of Honor, putting Sean Taylor in the Ring of Honor? His family had not been invited to the game yet because they did it so haphazardly, but they needed a public PR bump to kind of obscure the other terrible headlines they were making.
It feels like their PR guy or their crisis manager, or whoever's in charge of that.
It's like Sean Taylor, hit the Sean Taylor button.
It's literally Benicio del Toro's character from Fear and Loathing. Just like,
excellent.
Well, this guy's clearly fucked up, but he's in charge of this, so we're going to trust him. As your lawyer, I would advise. Like, that was super haphazard.
Yeah, this was an exciting game, I guess, if you had a bet on it, because Falcons did have a chance to win late in honor of the great Sean Taylor. Kyle Fuller comes away with the game-ending interception off of a tip. That was the only turnover for the Falcons. Falcons only 13 points. Yuck. Not exactly sure why their offense was so stuck in mud, but it's pretty clear not really thinking outside the box in terms of trying to get anyone involved in the passing game, and that Mariota maybe ready to see what they got in old Desmond Ridder. It's about time, especially since the Falcons at 5-7. I know we were just going on and on about how the division is not over just yet, but don't we want draft capital, guys? Shouldn't we tack towards the bottom here? That would be my general vibe. Tampa. Speaking of garbage NFC South, I'm glad we're getting all these over with early. Tampa lost to Cleveland somehow in a game that I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. They dominated this game.
Tampa.
Yeah.
First 3 quarters, yeah.
Yeah, for most of it. It felt like a very undeserved loss, but Tampa's certainly not the team we thought they'd be, not the same, and it doesn't matter who, really, once you get to overtime, I guess, unless you're facing Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, man, shit happens. You don't want to end up in that's why there's so much with the analytics, they should have just tied the game. Overtime is an auto win, and shit happens in overtime. You can control what you can control earlier in the game and not have to deal with that. And the win Sam asked what the Tampa Bay win probability was before that 4th and 10. High.
Yeah.
And
90,
and Patrick's pointing this out. This is my very next point. I very much question the Tampa Bay coaching staff at this point.
Oh, yes.
I think plenty of people have done that all season.
Yes, very, very much so. I had it at 95. Sorry. The coaching was awful. Head coach bears most of the responsibility there, but I've seen enough Byron Leftwich does not have the vision to overcome some of the issues that exist with this aging roster. The O-line lost Wirfs at one point, and that might have contributed to why all of a sudden they could do virtually nothing offensively. But the final 7 drives for the Bucs in this game were unsuccessful. drives. Some of them unsuccessful with extreme prejudice, including drives where you have a 7-point lead. You just need to take some time off the clock, and they couldn't even manage that. Their longest was a 2-minute and 40-second 6-play 28-yarder. Not gonna cut it. And eventually, you put your defense out there over and over and over again. Finally cracks.
Tom Brady completed like 70% of his passes, threw 2 touchdowns. Rashad White wasn't horrible. Godwin had a really good day. They did not turn the ball over, and somehow ended up in overtime with Cleveland. It's the Wirfs thing probably doesn't help, and that looks like it's going to be that's multi-week at the same time too. So another contributing factor to we stand with Sam Darnold.
Yes. Plus, Tampa's schedule. Yeah, they got some tough ones here. Starting with this New Orleans game, which is loser leaves town for New Orleans, I guess. All right, let's keep moving down. I don't have any more thoughts here. I've just incredibly.
I just wanted to dog on the coaches a little.
I agree that was the key problem. Cleveland's defense remains not good. The fact that Tampa Bay couldn't take advantage of that is pathetic.
Did you see that tweet? Who's the old guy in the office? The old
Creed.
He was in the Grassroots, like he was in a band in the 60s. He sneaks up behind Jim and like rubs his shoulders and just whispers, "One more week." Somebody tweeted that out. It's like Deshaun Watson reminding people he's back next week. Yeah. It cracked me up. I gave it a Twitter heart.
I love it.
Next game.
I should mention real quick. Cleveland got bet. Like somebody was on to this being a bad spot for Tampa, and also Cleveland. We'll talk more about Cleveland when we get to Houston game, I guess, coming up next week. Fitting end for Jacoby Brissett, who I thought did fine in relief, and will probably get a job as a backup for a long time from this stint. Cincy, Tennessee, weird, gross game, 20-16. Cincy.
This was the other half of my teaser leg, Drew, and I was not feeling good because in what world was the Cincinnati Bengals missing their star running back? I guess if you want a star, maybe it's a bit of a stretch for him, but missing their starting running back is the more successful running team. Really, really looked good along the front as far as limiting Henry on a few plays, like some of the pressure they got, some of the just not run blitzes, but just run fits. Like I did not see that coming from the Cincinnati defense. I love that they won, and I still covered my teaser for reasons of Cincinnati to win the division. Like that was the perfect result. Game wasn't very good though. Like I watched a lot of that because I did have a rooting interest, had a bet on that. Mm-hmm. But Samaj P. Ryan, who I was reminded during the broadcast, I remember that one of the Oklahoma schools, but he had like 400 damn yards one time in college. It was against Kansas. It doesn't count. But
doesn't count.
No. Yeah, he had a damn game.
This was again another weird one. It felt like a draw for most of the game.
In Nashville.
We've seen a lot of 0-0 draws in the World Cup, and this kind of had 0-0 draw whiff about it, even though they did score points. Ultimately, the Bengals got the key touchdown late to go up, and then no turnovers in this game, a lot of penalties, and then a penalty decided it effectively.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Do you remember? God, who was it? It was Heineke. When Heineke got blasted maybe when he got hit late after he gave himself up, and that essentially ended the game. If you'd have given me money, be like, this is the weirdest penalty to essentially end a game this year, I'd be like, yeah, I'll lay -1,000 on that. That's fine. This is way weirder. You don't see this called ever.
No.
And I mean,
Never.
It was clear by the letter of the law, you can't just destroy the long snapper like that, and he did. Rolled his ass over.
What is it called again?
It's not. It wasn't leverage. It wasn't leverage. No, they call it just a hit.
It was just unnecessary.
Player.
Okay.
They do a defenseless player because the center on those plays where he's long snapping for a kick has protection.
Mhm.
And I mean, you desperate times, desperate measures, I guess. But I mean, that cost you the entire game, and that was
Yeah.
lovely because I was
Yeah.
happy with the t-shirt.
4-point margin was. I think a lot of people were happy with 4-point margin there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Jim from Philly a bump here. DJ Reader, major impact coming back for Cincy. I would agree with that. Their run stop
that was a big part of the run stop.
very good. And probably threw some ice water on any kind of hopes for Derrick Henry making a run at the Offensive Player of the Year market. That is now a 2-man race. Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson to the victor in the receiving yards and receptions categories. I think go the spoils there, right? It's kind of your
both of them are finally getting some scores. Neither of them scored much. I think they don't even have 10 touchdowns between them somehow, and they have like 33,000 fucking yards.
Insane.
There it is. All right, insane. Tyreek has one more yard than Justin Jefferson. 1233 to 1232.
2 or 3 more catches.
He has 6 more catches, 1 more yard, 1 fewer touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, I think realistically, that's going to go to one of those 2 players. I think just because they're both having such standout seasons, and
they both could. And you pointed this out with Tyreek when I extrapolated and probably shouldn't have. He does have some tougher matchups down the stretch.
He's got some cold weather actually too.
But good receivers. I don't know. Like maybe they just overcome it.
I think Justin Jefferson is a bet right now. If we're being honest.
Yeah, I already have some preseason. I might actually add some Tyreek. Hurts, maybe. If he continues to have 150-yard rushing games, he's in the mix. But I mean, if one of these receivers has like 1,900 yards and 8-10 touchdowns, it's especially like Jefferson, and it's so silly that this is something but that catch on 4th and 18 was kind of iconic in that win, and it was probably catch of the year kind of shit. Like they'll look back on that, which is stupid, but yeah, it's I feel like Jefferson probably should have a little bit of a lead, and Tyreek's right there. And whoever doesn't have a couple of eggs during the the last few weeks.
Yeah, right. Okay. That'll be fun to keep an eye on. I'm gonna price shop for JJ just to see where he's at market wide. Houston came ever so close to backdooring, but they elected to kick some field goals late instead of going for touchdowns for whatever reason. 15-point margin. The covers are intact for everyone who laid Miami. For most of this game, it felt like Miami could win by 40 if they felt like it.
What their team total was, right?
Was it 31?
It was 30 and a half, 31.
Oh, gross.
Just disgusting.
Oh, gross.
Just disgusting.
Oh, I hate that. Their last score was at halftime.
Yeah,
they went to half up 30-0. Oh my God. Gross. They made people in Hawaii, by the way, watch this game. That was the CBS game.
Hard to talk about a game like this where a team is
probably because of Tua.
Yeah,
they put the Dolphins on in Hawaii because of Tua. That makes sense.
So it is hard to evaluate a game like this where one team just kicked the ever living 12 cans of dog shit out of the other team for a half and then essentially sat. But I mean, that's what you're going to see from a good offense, I guess, going forward. Houston is close to quitting. They've probably downgraded at quarterback, which didn't seem super possible, seeing how some of those last games are going. But man, to cover that big, it did feel like, oh my God, we were up 30-0, and I'm going to lose the spread if you're on it. I was watching that one closely because that would have been
Damian Pierce's offensive rookie of the year candidacy took a massive downgrade.
Yeah, I think he's out.
Last couple weeks, I think he's out.
Yeah.
Don't really know why Miami couldn't really get much going on the ground in this one. They lost Teron Armstead for a couple weeks, maybe longer.
They're kind of
already a bad O-line. It was already an O-line that was struggling in pass pro, and now they lose their best tackle. That is worth circling, particularly with some of the matchups they have coming up, because the Dolphins are going through a weird little stretch where they just played dog shit team after dog shit team, and now the whole thing flipped on its head, and they got legit contender after legit contender now the next handful of weeks. Starting with a back-to-back on the West Coast. I'm assuming that they're going to the Niners, staying on the West Coast, and then playing the Chargers. Then they go all the way back to the East Coast to play the Bills. sick, gross part of the
Can I ask,
schedule.
is McDaniel live for Coach of the Year? Maybe. It just feels that Sirianni has such a chokehold in the market.
I don't think McDaniel's live.
No, he's about as live as Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, exactly. He gets the 1 seed. He'll be in the discussion, but so will 2 MVPs. So will a lot of other awards for the Dolphins. And let's not forget, he tried to kill Tua by putting him out there with a concussion. So
maybe
they'll hold that against him.
Bad juju.
Yeah, I'm obviously being tongue in cheek. I like McDaniel a lot, for the record. Fascinated by this matchup coming up against the Niners. I can't wait to hear what your early thoughts are on that when we get to those. The Jets Bears happened. Mike White is back in our lives for a little while.
Everyone's so excited about Mike White, and yeah, it was a really good performance, especially when you compare it to what we've gotten out of Zach Wilson for, I don't know, his career. But man, the Bears defense has been getting worse and worse and worse. And what they threw out there, that secondary was probably one of the worst collection of players that a team has played for the entire 60 minutes in a secondary. Like it was always going to be, and I'm mad that I didn't just hammer some Jets. I live bet a few games and, some middling results. Honestly, that was one of them, but the Jets were just doing whatever they wanted against a really, really sad sack Bears defense. Mike White is not good. He's not going to be real good. We're not going to see performances like this.
Andy.
But next week
he's better than Zach Wilson was.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll give him a full season. We'll see.
He took one sack. He did not turn the ball over.
No.
Well, he did. He took the low hanging fruit.
A Division II college.
He took what was asked. We've seen Mike White. We've seen Zach Wilson screw that up this year.
And that's what we saw in the Mike White game 2 years ago or last year
against the Bengals.
Like he just took all the short stuff. It worked. And then teams adjusted and he looked like shit 2 weeks later. I think you get that, but man, the Minnesota secondary maybe isn't the team to make Mike White look like a pumpkin. So I don't think Flacco is hurt. I think they just said we know what we have in Flacco.
This is Mike White's team. It's Mike White's time. Yeah. It's not Trevor Siemian's time, it turns out. That was some hilarious pregame shenanigans with Trevor Siemian getting hurt and Nathan Peterman going to start. Oh, no, actually, it's Siemian. And then Siemian being kind of live in the first quarter because presumably they shot him up with a bunch of stuff. And then he just completely died on the vine. Bears get the best thing for the franchise, which was a loss.
They now have the two spot in the draft.
I'm assuming that it's more Trevor Siemian this week, but who knows? Yeah. Maybe Fields comes back. I don't know why they would, but maybe. Let's move to the afternoon games where we start with absolute heartbreak. The Seattle Seahawks, man. Fucking A, guys.
If your run defense is going to look that bad, you're not going to win games.
Correct.
That's the entire breakdown of that game.
Correct.
And the overtime loss, the play that they lost on overtime was a microcosm of the whole reason they were in overtime instead of winning by 10. Like they
correct. That's correct. The Raiders just are. I think if you had told me that someone was scripting the NFL specifically so that the Raiders were going to piss me off this year,
electromagnets.
If you told me that they had researched and done and paying crisis actors $100 million to go and do all this, and it was specifically to torment me with Raiders out results, I think that would check out. This was ridiculous.
Same. I bet that Raiders over against New Orleans. They didn't show up at all.
This was ridiculous. Why in this game on the road against Seattle did the Raiders come and give full heart perform? Why? What's guy? I mean, I know Josh Jacobs is playing for his next contract. Like he needed to.
He's gonna get paid now.
He needed to get. Yeah, he needed to have this run and get paid. He's currently, by the way, the rushing leader in the NFL, which is crazy. I don't know if he has a game in hand or what, if he has.
He had like 200 yards yesterday.
Oh yeah, for sure. Of 229.
I mean, that helps. Yeah. Also, as a start, I'm the kind of guy who I don't care about fantasy, but I still play. And I checked my. Oh, did I win in the one league I care about? And I I forgot. I don't know who I even have. I checked the lineups on Thursdays and I set them, make sure they're all starting at least. But I had what's his name, Josh Jacobs. I'm like, oh, I won by a shitload at like a 50-point week. It was like good, but I'm still mad. Like it was a reminder. I bet on the Seahawks and it pissed me off again. So yeah, he went the bleep off, and that's the whole thing. What else do we have in the afternoon?
I was trying to do the math up, and I was doing something stupid. But that he was the top rusher of the day, thanks to that 89-yarder at the end or whatever it was. Anyone with the Jalen Hurts ticket was probably quite sore. Anyway, need the Seattle Seahawks to bounce back. It's not over. They got a bunch of easy games, but like dropping one to this Raiders team that's probably quit is sad. Chargers almost did the same. They almost dropped one to a Cardinals team that quit. Cardinals were absolutely lifeless on Monday Night Football against the Niners last Monday, and then their offensive run game coordinator assaulted someone in Mexico on a business trip. Just a casual assault.
Got a little gropey with somebody, and it was
a little gropey. Yeah,
bad enough that he got shit canned. I made this bet. I bet on the Chargers. Shame on me, I guess, but I really did not expect Kyler Murray to bet.
I did not.
Essentially, I was betting on Kyler Murray not to start.
Yeah,
once he started, I didn't throw the ticket in the trash, but I didn't feel great about it.
Yeah, and even at the end of the game when the Chargers tied at 24-24, I was still like, okay, well, go score a touchdown in overtime and redeem yourselves, you clowns.
Yeah, redeem team.
They went instead for 2. They put their entire season basically on one play, which it's their prerogative. It was a good play. Maybe they knew they had it for that.
Were good plays.
And maybe that was part of it. Like, you get to this part of the season, you've practiced your 2-point conversions enough that you're like, okay, let's this is, we need it now. We know it'll work. Let's let it out of the bag. And that's fine. That's probably what happened. Whatever the case is, Chargers went ugly. Herbert was meh. He had some moments in comeback mode where he wasn't executing the offense perfectly. I know the one interception wasn't necessarily his fault, but I still didn't think, I wasn't like, just outrageously impressed. Oh, they actually, they took the interception off the board. I'm looking at you at a clean sheet.
Like you betting too much soccer.
I'm trying to weave as many things into this podcast as possible. But yeah, ultimately, Kyler Murray showing up and playing and coming in, he showed a little bit of leadership and he was good. Stop me if you heard this one before, Andy. The Chargers conceded 181 yards on the ground to a team that had absolutely nothing going.
They had like 60 yards rushing last week.
This year, they've done nothing on the ground, and they had 180 in this game. The Lindsley injury mattered. Good. It did.
And it looks like that's going to be...
That may be long term, right?
That's longer term, and then I think Pipkins dinged up again, so they're continuing to have all kinds of problems up front. That's might be all she wrote for this team eventually. Like, even if they do wind up in, one of these last couple spots where I believe they're still... So they're behind the Patriots even. So they're in the 9th spot in the AFC. The wild card teams are the Bills, the Bengals, and the Jets. What a weird crew that is.
Well, Andy, the Chargers
the Chargers, Vikings, Dolphins.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I don't know. It's weird. The Chargers, who can't stop the run, get to now face Josh Jacobs, who's trying to get paid. So, good luck stopping Josh Jacobs. They played the Raiders already once this year, right? How'd Jacobs do in that game? That was the week 1. They had him bottled. Anyway, Rams started a player named Bryce Perkins.
Quiet quitting. Well, and somebody did. I want to give him credit. Oh, Jim from Philly. I'm guessing is
Yeah,
from the tri-state area, but he pays attention. And yeah, Reese, about an hour ago, we got some news. Aaron Donald looking like a multi-week injury, which at this point, if you're even a little dinged up and you're a high-end player, you're like, you know what? This could be a high ankle. It's not feeling great, guys. Maybe just shut it down.
Yeah. Rams getting all their injury bad luck out of the way in 1 year. After years and years of how did these guys manage to stay healthy?
99% of fan bases in the world would shake hands on a season like this.
That's right.
Said, you got your trophy already.
The Rams traded away their first round pick, so they're doing everything they can to make that second round pick as close to the first round as possible. That's good strategy on their part. They're going to need that draft capital eventually. Good thing they didn't trade that second round pick away from who were they flirting with trying to get for the second? Was it Christian McCaffrey?
They were looking at running backs. Yeah, like that was going to fix it. I mean, this is like, you know, a really, really problematic couple that like has, you know, like, hey, let's have another baby. Like, no, that isn't going to fix it. You guys just need to get divorced. Like this team is paying the piper now, and they will be for a couple years. Again, it doesn't matter. You got your trophy. Good for you.
Yeah.
And it might be no more, you know, no more Stafford, no more Aaron Donald, obviously no more Cup.
Yeah. You know who's not paying the piper? Oh, it was Brian Burns. That's right. Thank you, Jimmy. You know who's not paying the piper is anyone who laid 15.5 with the Chiefs and was probably sweating it late into this contest. But Bryce Perkins just did everything in his power to give you guys more chances to kick field goals to get that margin up to 16. This closing at minus 15.5 and landing 16 is quite ridiculous considering the final two scores were a Harrison Butker 22-yard field goal and a Harrison Butker 22-yard field goal, both off of turnovers, I believe. Nothing about the way that the Chiefs played should really make you feel like super, even though they had 437 yards of offense somehow. They just continue to compile stats.
Leading rusher. Perkins threw for 100 yards.
There was, I think at halftime, Perkins had 3 yards, or the Rams as a team had 3 yards of passing offense. That was something. Perkins UVA guy, I think. I don't remember seeing him play in college. Riley Dixon was the highest rated passer for the Rams. He's the punter. He had a passer rating of 91.7. Yeah, I mean, Mahomes with only one touchdown. He threw a bad pick, but you know, who cares? This was a game where you just had to do just enough.
Such a throwaway game. God.
Such a throwaway.
It's crazy. It stayed under the total.
Sky Moore lost another fumble.
We joked about this total. Like, what would this total been, you know, previous, or, you know, even the spread. We said, what would this spread been before the playoffs last year? Maybe KC minus 354.
Yeah.
And this total it stayed under. It's an ugly game.
Awful.
All right. Is that it for the afternoon?
Niners Saints was a game that was played also. Two key things to take away here. Niners were very lucky to get the cover. I bet them, and I feel lucky. The under was way better play. Jimmy G got popped in the knee late in this game. I don't know if you've seen the replays, but it looks like a sprained MCL from what I could tell you. They're probably going to continue to play him through that injury, but he's going to wear a knee brace. I don't know what that means for their performance going forward. But it's too bad because the rest of this Niners team outside of the quarterback position right now is all pro. And yeah, that defensive line is sick. The secondary is coming into its own. The running attack that they've tried out there week in, week out is absurdly good. 13 points, probably not reflective enough of how good overall this, this team was on this day.
They could have lost this game.
Oh yeah.
The fact that New Orleans continually just didn't score.
They had higher yards per play. They had a couple of turnovers in the red zone, right?
Yeah. The second half, I don't think the Saints didn't punt in the second half. The Saints only had 3 drives somehow.
Oh, shit.
They had a missed field goal on a 6-minute drive.
What was going on with the clock operator in the second half of this game? He just freaking let it rip, man.
Yeah, this is a weird looking. Is that even enough minutes? That's 10,
I don't
12,
understand,
17,
dude.
18, 21.
The
Yeah,
The Niners wiped out the last 6.5 minutes of the game somehow. I think that's part of it.
11 play. So, yeah, the Saints got the ball 3 times in the second half. A missed field goal, a fumble after 87 yards, which was a hilarious fumble right at the goal line, Melvin Gordon-esque. And then, the turnover on downs at the end in desperation time. That's wild. The Saints did not punt in the second half.
Yeah. The Niners said we need to end this thing. So we're just going to go on an 11-play, 46-yard drive and eat 6.5 minutes of clock. And that was the game. Niners cover, under, never in doubt. Green Bay, Philly, you watch any of that? I watched 0.
Yeah, a little bit. Green Bay was frisky. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, probably sit him for the year, right?
I would guess.
I would. He's come out and said on record is like, unless we're fully eliminated, I want to be out there on the field, which seems like a mistake at this point. Like, you're not mathematically eliminated, but do you really think this team has a chance to do something? Like, go get healthy and then retire and go away and never be seen again. That'd be fine.
I have the Packers as 3% chance to get the 7th seed.
Yeah, you should
they're not mathematically eliminated.
Just play love. Just see what you have in him. You got some young receivers that, those guys can play together for a few years here, see if things click. I don't know. This team, they looked a little squirrely in the first half. And it's the same kind of things we've seen from Philly. I don't know. I hate to say Philly's come back to earth after they scored 40 points again, but parts of that second quarter.
Yeah.
It's like, man, much worse defenses than you have looked pretty good against this Green Bay offense, and it was tied there. It was tied for about 2020. It felt like Green Bay was going to be feisty in this, and it just actually, the second half was a draw. It was 13-13. Green Bay continued. Jordan Love didn't play poorly. He looked actually pretty decent. I know some of the actual percentage chance they had to win wasn't super high for big chunks of the second half. It was probably Philly 80% the whole time, but
yeah,
he looked frisky. I'm a little worried about the Philly defense.
That's fair. I had Philly over 80% for the entire second half, most of it over 90.
Sounds right.
The Green Bay defense is the bigger story. They conceded 400 yards on the ground in this game, almost.
Yeah,
363.
I mean, that was that's probably the headline. It's like Jalen Hurts in space is scary.
Yeah,
maybe they don't fully trust him as a well-developed passer yet, but when he runs, it's terrifying. More terrifying than Lamar.
So what's the deal here? How did the Packers get to 33 points? They only had 19 first downs. They only had 342 yards total. They were somehow at 7 yards per play. Huh? What happened here? This is a very weird box score.
They had some nice kick returns. I feel like the first touchdown was on a shorter field. I think they only had to go 50, 60 yards. There's 59.
37, and they got a key fourth down.
They got the turnover on downs. Yeah. So their first 2 touchdowns didn't even add up to 100 yards of total yardage between those 2 drives.
I see. Okay.
And then there was another fumble. They got a short field that was that touchdown was 3 plays for 13 yards. So their 20 points came on about 110 total yards of offense.
Okay.
That's about as efficient as you can get.
Yeah. So that doesn't make me scream there's still a problem in Philly with the way that the defense
stop turning the ball over.
Well, I mean, it's offense. That's not the defense, right?
Defense got to step up there and stop it.
Yeah, the big problem would have been if AJ Dillon comes to town and goes, for 20 rushes and 150 yards. That guy's been a corpse this season. If you give him a big game, then all of a sudden I'm like, man, you really haven't solved this problem yet. But they only conceded 106 on the ground in total. A lot of garbage time, success here in terms of yardage. They're down 30. You're up 37-23. They concede a 4-play, 75-yard touchdown. There was a 63-yarder to Christian Watson. How is that guy continue getting these huge plays?
Just cover him.
Cover him. Yeah. Okay. All right. Weird outcome overall. Congratulations to anyone who laid the 7 with Philly. That was just laid the 6. You got that by the hook. 6.5 close at bookmaker there. Total flew over. 46 was, how do we get to 46? What a bad total that was.
It was over at half. It was 27-20.
Oof. Okay. All right. So the rocking chair. Rocking chair under San Francisco, rocking chair over for Philly. I want to see those two teams play badly. That's going to be a super fun clash. Hopefully Jimmy G has a intact ligament in his knee by that point. Should we talk about what are we up to? Week 14 here? Week 13? Whatever's next week.
Yeah, and this has been brought up in the chat like 6 times, and I haven't been ignoring you. We're trying to get through the recap, and we're taking our sweet ass time with it today because we have some time. But yeah, Seattle has been bet. The ever living piss has been bet out of Seattle. I think a lot of it is just because it looks like everyone is just shut down for the Rams, and that team is kind of
who got hurt for Steven? Who got hurt for the Eagles? Chauncey? Is that CJ? He's their best coverage guy. Is that who got hurt?
Gardner Johnson.
Yeah. Who I didn't see who got hurt for the Eagles.
Yeah, he was into the tunnel late. He has a rib injury. Somebody refresh me on that. I think it's ribs. Okay, yeah. We're saying ribs. CJ. I thought they closed that club down.
Okay. They did.
Yeah, sad day for the music industry.
Yeah.
That does matter. And honestly, as much as I love the Eagles and it's been a fun story, I like it when teams look like unbeatable for the first half of the year, and then some things start to regress or a couple of injuries pile up, and we get to the playoffs and it's wide open. Makes it more fun.
Yes.
So I'm happy that the Niners are ascending. I'm happy that the Vikings have a metric ton of horseshoes stuck up their ass somehow, and I'm happy that Dallas looks pretty lively too. So the NFC playoffs are going to be much better than we had.
Wild card round is going to be skippable.
I don't know. Heineke in the wild card, man, he's awful tough.
There's going to be some trash.
He's
Dallas against whoever comes out of that mess in the NFC South.
So right now the 3 matchups.
Best case scenario, that's Brady. Yeah.
The 3 matchups, if it started today in the NFC, would be Washington heading to Minnesota, the Giants heading to the Bay Area to take on the Niners.
Christ.
And then Dallas heading to Tampa.
We desperately need Seattle in the mix there. They are by far the most entertaining potential team on the road in any of those games.
Yeah, and
Seattle, Minnesota would be fun as shit.
Yeah,
that would be so fun.
Right, and then right now in the AFC, it'd be Jets, Miami playing for a third time in Miami. Obviously, Tennessee hosting the Bengals, and in the 4-5 matchup, Baltimore, Buffalo.
Okay.
In Baltimore,
I think Washington moves into the 6. I think Seattle gets the 7, and I think we get Giants drop out. I think we get Niners commies in a game that ends probably 13-0. I think we get Vikings Seahawks in a game that probably ends 40-33, one way or the other.
What was the Niners
Cowboys
spread?
Bucks
What was the Niners spread in that game against the Saints? What did that close?
9.
Okay.
Why?
I was just still laughing about remember when they beat the commies like 9-0?
Yes.
Didn't cover the 10.
Yes.
Yeah. Patrick, yeah, Titans Bengals is a Saturday afternoon game no matter what. That's how that works. So,
yes.
All right, looking at the lines outside, Seattle getting bet out across the 7 all the way to 8. That makes sense, even though they're on the road. It seems like a lot to lay for a defense that looks a little sketchy right now.
The Rams?
No, the Seahawks defense.
I know.
It's starting to regress to what it was a bottom 5 defense last year, and it was continuing to impress.
You know what?
Should we just start with Thursday, Buffalo, New England?
I'm giving the Seattle defense a total pass. The young team, they come off their bye. after succeeding beyond expectations in the first half of the season, and they were playing a team that they thought they were much better than, and they gave you a soft performance. Like that they'll bounce back. I think that they're well coached. I think they're going to be fine. A lot of talent.
I think I missed the number though. I'm not laying 8.
No,
nice teaser, maybe a nice teaser leg now that it's out to 8. But yeah,
with
starting
a total
with
of 41. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, starting with the Thursday game, Buffalo is a 5-point favorite heading to New England.
What's your gut reaction there?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
Buffalo's a top tier team. New England's a middle of the pack team. 7 on a neutral. That's a fair line.
Considering how much respect Buffalo has gotten in the market every single game all season long, this feels short. Don't you think?
Where would you make what would you make this number? I have about 7 points.
I'm not saying I make it bigger.
No,
I'm just saying that the way that the market has treated the Bills all season. Yeah. I'm pretty close to 5, but I thought we were going to see 6.5 here.
I need to check on weather, and the fact that it's a short week is probably going to keep me off this.
The fact that somebody nuked the under does make it seem like weather.
Yeah, I need to keep up with this weather, because if the weather turns out good, this total's probably 2 points too low. Buffalo's defense hasn't looked otherworldly.
No.
The Patriots don't have a Justin Jefferson, but they'll get theirs. They'll get 17-20. It feels like it's a home game for them. So unless the weather is absolute horseshit, I might take a look at this over. I hate betting overs on a short week. I think the only time I've done it in recent history was that Packers game, which only cleared by a few points. It got there early, but then the scoring stopped. So it's not like that was a no-doubter.
I'm not even really seeing anything in terms of weather. This looks like a perfectly fine game.
Well,
35 degrees, low chance of precipitation, and 10-mile-an-hour winds. So this is over or pass.
Sam, you bastard! It's not a short week though. Both teams get a full week. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not just being a dick to you, Sam, but it feels like on a normal Thursday, if a team did ever play a Thursday to Thursday like this, which just wouldn't happen outside of this scenario unless they went Thursday to Thanksgiving, feels like they would get a little more prep in, where they probably gave some players time off to be with their families. So it still feels like maybe a short prep week. But as far as the body healing up and not being, hey, we just played 4 days ago, there is that advantage. You're right.
You know what we should probably do?
Not bet that game. Or bet the Bills.
I was going to say Pat's team total over. I think.
When's that ever gone wrong? Worked last time.
It's 19.
All right, that's you know what, we're doing it early. Secret team total plays.
Team total play on Thursday, huh?
I'm gonna go find that. Minnesota only 3-point favorites over the Mike White and the Juggernauts.
Yeah,
is that total? Boy, I'm not a good year to bet over, Sandy, but boy,
no.
And the Jets defense. The Jets have the better defense in this game.
This is telling you that the difference between those two teams is about 1.5, 2 points. Is that saying that the Jets are average and the Vikings are 1.5, 2 points better than an average team, or that the Jets are below average and the Vikings are neutral? How do you read that?
I have them on opposite sides of the zero.
Okay.
But not by much for either.
Okay.
This number's about fair.
Okay. Mike White on the road is fair. Three's fair.
If you made me bet this, I would bet Minnesota. Probably should be a 3.5.
Good matchup. Sauce Gardner versus Justin Jefferson. That's worth tuning in for.
Defensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year campaign ends on December 4th.
That'd be fun. Open that up for whoever. Yeah. Woolen gets it back in the mix.
Tariq has a pick 6 against Bryce Wolford or whatever.
Tariq Woolen leads the NFL in interceptions. Woolen leads the NFL in interceptions.
If he had a multi-interception game with a touchdown and Gardner did get roasted.
We would be the only people watching.
Games. Yeah.
The whole problem is he can't get any picks because he's playing Bryce Perkins this week, who only attempts 3 passes a game. He's going to have to intercept all 3 passes.
The Denver Broncos are 9-point underdogs.
Is that enough?
Low total. It's still a good defense. Like it's not a bad defense, guys.
Man. I just kind of want to watch more about what's going on with the situation between Lamar and the front office in Baltimore. Baltimore statements today.
Here.
I didn't like it, man. I didn't like what they were saying. It's like the tweet was uncharacteristic. It's like, yeah, this is your fault, guys. You fucked this up, not him.
No, and how they've played in second half some late games, even against an absolute dead to rights offense. It's horrible. I have no taste for this. A big number with the Ravens against anybody feels bad.
Yeah, if Sam Darnold did that, that's a good point by Sam Suitman. If Sam Darnold did that, what is Lamar Jackson going to do to this Broncos defense that's currently rostered? It's a good question. God,
if this gets bet down into the teaser zone, this is going to be a nice teaser leg. It still might be, honestly. You could play a 6.5 on this.
You gonna tease a little Baltimore Seattle this week in division?
You know what the teaser is, and I hate it because the total's too high. But like Raiders at home, getting yeah. There's maybe a Seattle Baltimore teaser doesn't feel too bad. Philly 5.5 over the Titans. Philly's defense didn't look that good.
What is up with the board this week? It's all Wongs.
Titans are a little bit of a low spot after coming.
That's our homework for Wednesday. We got to talk about Wongs because there are 8 legs this week. Am I counting right?
It's the octopus.
I guess I'm looking at today too. Maybe that doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean the Giants, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Raiders, the Bengals. And then, tonight, if you wanted to throw it in a teaser.
7, 8, 9. This is a big long week. Holy shit.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm distracted. I'm trying to figure out.
Philly Titans probably in a bit of a buy low spot.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of ran up against a rush defense that had their number that day. Like somebody pointed out, Raider was important. Really made them look bad. I think they can run on Philly. It's on the road. This number is a little bit heavy, but it's in a dead zone. I'm not super comfortable taking the Titans again. I lived the Titans experience last week. Want no taste for it.
No, thank you. They can run. Philly's run defense is going to be tested. We'll see. Jacksonville, Detroit. We didn't mention Pittsburgh Atlanta because Pittsburgh's playing tonight, but I think if Pittsburgh does what I think they're going to do tonight, that 2 is going to be gone. So if you want points with Pittsburgh, then I would get them now. Jacksonville, Detroit is going to be a fun game. 51.5 is the total now. That's been bet up. That's sitting at a pick 'em after a little bit of action towards Jacksonville there. Do you understand why Detroit opened as favorites? So the check out by your numbers?
No, not really. I've been higher on Jacksonville than probably should be all year, even though we didn't take him last week.
Not expecting Okuda back, right?
No, and it's I don't know. I guess they had a decent game. They always beat a good team. It's not like this is a big move. They didn't cross anything. We're sitting at 0. Just
extra rest for Detroit.
Yeah, light dog money.
Jacksonville coming off of a big win emotionally. Maybe teasing the Jags. They're 1.5 at a couple spots. Yeah.
I've said nice things about the Commanders and Heineke, but he does feel like he's walking a tightrope. No reason for me to lay points on the road in a divisional game.
That looks like a tease the Giants spot.
Yeah, I think so. In a spot here where I'm very tempted to take the Giants.
You know what? I think I'm just going to tease it this week.
Yeah. That's actually my favorite teaser leg, isn't it? Total's 40.
Team at home.
Commanders don't win by margin usually. That's not the game they play.
The only team that they beat by margin was Philly. And that was because
that doesn't count. The Giants are a great teaser leg. The Browns are a great teaser leg. But my God, do you really want to bet money on a guy who hasn't played football in 18 months?
How would you frame that game before we get? We want to do the deep dive. Obviously on Wednesday we're going to do it.
Yeah, we're spending too much time on these games.
How do you frame that game?
It's not bettable because there's a high level uncertainty. Like he might come out there and just look like shit. Like, oh God, this guy hasn't played football in like 2 years. Weird. This is like, remember when Mike Vick came back? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how he's gonna look.
Yeah, looks great in the Chip Kelly system.
Situation. Only one of those guys got convicted.
That's correct.
Like we already talked about Seattle taking a bunch of steam. That makes sense. Decent teaser leg. Dolphins, Miami, I want to spend zero time on because I want a lot of time on that on Wednesday. And I'm not interested in betting that right now.
GBCG off the board because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for either team, I'm guessing?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. Miami, San Francisco. Early thoughts. This has been market movement in direction of Miami. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I just said I didn't want to spend any time on that.
Oh, I thought you said that about Seattle Rams.
No, I want to get deep into this Miami game on Wednesday. All right. Unless you want to bet it now. I mean, talk about the market if you want. We're already an hour 20 here.
I don't have any. I don't have anything yet on that one. I didn't bet anything yet. Very excited for that game though. Mike McDaniel returning to the scene of his former employment. Good one. A lot of good stuff going on in that game. Very, very excited for that one. Chargers, Raiders. Tease the Raiders main or pass. Chiefs,
high total.
Bengals. Man, it's been a while since we had really good games in the NFL, and there's a bunch this week.
Yeah, it stinks that and I guess that Seattle Rams probably won't be a good game, but we have all the good games for the afternoon, man. Dolphins, Chargers, and Bengals all play at once. The Chiefs Bengals game, these are all late games. Which one's getting flexed?
None of them, because fucking Colts Cowboys is staying in primetime. How horrible.
Oh yeah, so those are all going to go on pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, Colts are staying in primetime. 9-point game. Embarrassing. Colts in primetime 2 weeks in a row. Awful. Tampa, New Orleans is your Monday night football game, and that's been steamed heavily in the direction of the Saints, largely, I'm guessing, because of the injuries to the
Do you have thoughts on Bengals Chiefs real quick off the open? Is that a cheap Chiefs price? The Bengals won. The Bengals won the game on the back of we're able to stop the run against a kind of a middling passing team, and there was a couple moments where Treylon Burks got loose. It's not the Chiefs of old, but it's still a much better passing offense. He signed another running back, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I guess. But like the Chiefs should be able to pass in this team. I know they've gotten healthier in the back end, and it should be Sunday Night Football to begin with. That was silly.
Yeah, damn, dude, this is tough. It is cheap for the Chiefs. The Chiefs haven't had to show us much for a couple of weeks now. This is a big test for them going up against a good defense. Chiefs defense has been playing well. Chris Jones, notably, going up against a soft eye line, he's going to be a problem. This looks like a good spot to get involved in an under 53. It's been steamed up. My fare was 51 here. It opened at 51. So I'm going against the early steam here. Looking at an under. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the weather in the Midwest has been kind of nice. We're actually might be looking at some rain over the weekend in Cincy, but it's Monday, man.
Yeah, tough to say.
KC payback game. So no interest in the Monday night game early. I could be talking. Since he's
rostered really well to hold the Chiefs to like a 23-ish type of score total. Which means this comes down to can the Bengals get to 24? This under is probably that. I think this is under a pass. I don't think there's a side you really want to get involved with here.
That's tough in a road game there. And then, yeah, I would bet the Saints on Monday if I had to right now, but I want to dig in a little on that yet.
Okay. Still in the dead zone. It came
game,
down a
couple of
lot.
ugly games.
Nick Palfrey, if the Cowboys were a World Cup team, they'd be Portugal. Overrated and full of crybabies. You know what else, Nick? The next 3 weeks, they get the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars. Kind of sounds like Portugal's path. Those guys got super lucky. They're already through.
I had that second half over. That penalty saved my day.
You're gonna get your Bruno Fernandez jersey because it is your Bruno kit is on the mail.
If I buy a Bruno outfit, it's gonna be the Sacha Cohen, Baron Cohen out character.
How do the Cowboys get the Colts, Texans, and Jags 3 weeks in a row? They're going to be a good fade again at the Jaguars because they're going to just. I mean, they presumably nuke the Colts and the Texans at home the next 2 weeks, and then they're going to have Philly on deck when they go at the Jags. You're probably going to get Cowboys minus 4.5 in that game.
It's wild that we didn't do the show last night, so I just did bet openers. I kind of took the night off. It was lovely. I just spent some time with my wife.
It's a good reason to get involved with teasers this week instead of trying to smash sharp numbers.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out in the chat. It's teasers probably, and there's probably some evidence if you dug in long enough that they do better later in the season when lines are more efficient. Because some of those teaser legs that lost early on, it's like, oh, that line was just bad. Doesn't matter if you gave me an extra 6. That team probably shouldn't have been an 8-point favorite.
Dude, the Cowboys get the entire NFC South in the month of December. AFC South. How did we didn't pick this up breaking down their schedule preseason, but
hashtag blessed. Zeke gonna eat?
Yeah.
He hasn't looked terrible. So all right. No real bets for me. Drew likes some under on the
in the big one.
Chiefs
I'm gonna play under in the San Francisco Miami game too.
Shitload of teasers. And I'm very tempted by the Saints, the Gigantes.
Gigantes.
That's probably going to be a teaser.
Yes.
Honestly, I might play the Texans as dead as they are. Because Cleveland just got bet. I can't do that.
Yuck.
All right, I'm going to go eat some supper.
All right, we'll see you at halftime.
I'm going to sit down and watch this game, and then we'll do some halftime love.
Here we go.
We're going to do...
Muted.
When you bet a game pregame, you get anchored.
Oh, I'm anchored big time.
And so do I. So we're gonna disagree at halftime. We have to come up with a total.
What'd you play? You played Colts?
Yes. Colts 2.5.
Oh.